This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, and just so if we can have everybody mute that when you're not speaking, that would be great, especially the callers, because if we mute you, we don't know when you want to speak. So I'll call the meeting of the Board of Zoning Appeals to order on December 7th, 2020 at 5:05 p.m. And Maria, if we can have the roll call.
Okay, Mr. Levine,
Here.
Mr. Mercer,
Here.
Mr. Miller,
Here.
Mr. Lamanna,
Here.
Mr. Schlachter.
Here.
Oh, great.
Great. Okay, if we can we have a motion? Hopefully you guys have read the minutes from November 2nd. Can we have a motion to approve those?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Says Zach.
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Lamanna,
Yes.
Mr. Schlachter,
I'm guessing
You're
I
on
can't
mute.
hear you.
Mr. He's,
Can we
he's-
unmute him?
I guess I can come back to Tim. Mr. Levine,
Yes.
Mr. Mercer,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Schlachter.
Is it legal to have like a shaking of the head?
He's saying, yeah. Well, I wonder why he's muted.
Can you unmute him, Daryl? From your end? We can't hear you either, Daryl.
Dale, you yourself are muted at this point.
Sorry.
Huh.
No, I was looking to see how.
There.
Oh, there's
There he is.
There
Tim.
he is.
All right. Yeah, it wouldn't let me get to that point on the screen to unmute it, but I finally let go.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Great. That's wonderful.
This is fun.
All right, with no old business, moving on to new business. Daryl, if you could, actually, let's do the, I believe Mr. Schmidt here is going to testify. If anybody's going to testify in this manner, if you can raise your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
Great. Thanks. If we can have the, moving on to the new business. I have two different agendas. Is the one online the most recent, Daryl?
I don't know. I didn't realize we had two agendas.
So is there 5.1 through 5.3 on the agenda?
I have 1 through 5.3. No, there's just the new business under item 4.
I downloaded the one from the site and that is not the right agenda. Hang on a second.
Is it last month's maybe? That you?
It's December 7th. It's under the December 7th meeting as well. What address is this for? Is it Eagle Ridge?
Yes, 5314 Eagle Ridge.
Yeah, I don't know why there's a difference. I'll go ahead and Going on to the new business, which is a variance request for a privacy fence from a maximum height of 6 feet required to 7 feet provided for the property located at 5314 Eagle Ridge Lane, parcel number 79-06567, Sylvania Township's zoning resolution section A. If we can have the staff report, Carol.
Yes. Subject property at 5314 Eagle Ridge Lane consists of a 0.4 acre lot on the east side of Eagle Ridge Lane within the Meadows subdivision. A two-story single-family dwelling measuring just under 3,300 square feet is sited on the property. The dwelling was constructed in 1994 and the applicant purchased it in 2014. The parcel is bounded on north, south, and west by other single-family dwellings that are also within the Meadows, and like the subject property, zoned RA suburban residential. To the east, rear of the subject parcel is a residentially zoned parcel in the city of Sylvania, owned by Lourdes University. A 36,000 square foot, one-story classroom building constructed in 2002 straddles 3 parcels fronting onto Silica Drive. Section 2211A of the Sylvania Township zoning resolution dictates a maximum height of 6 feet for fencing in the side or rear yard of a residential property. The applicant is requesting a 1-foot variance from section 2211A in order to erect a 7-foot tall privacy fence along their rear property line abutting the Lourdes property. The applicants maintain that the variance is needed, quote, due to a lack of privacy and potential lack of security, end quote. Per 1117.08C of the City of Sylvania's ordinances, a maximum 7-foot high fence may be erected in the rear yard of a residentially zoned district, such as the Lourdes property. Thus, the applicant could potentially work with Lourdes to get a fence of the applicant's desired height installed on Lourdes property along the applicant's property. Staff recommends denial of the requested 1-foot variance to the maximum fence height in a rear yard on a residential property as dictated in section 2211A from 6 feet required to 7 feet provided for the property located at 5314 Eagle Ridge Lane for the following 3 reasons. 1, staff finds no hardship, special circumstances, or exceptionalities to the property to warrant relief from the strict application of the requirements of the Sylvania Township zoning resolution. 2, the applicant should have been aware of any potential privacy or security issues at the time of purchase. 3, the applicants are not without other options. A 6-foot high privacy fence may be erected to meet most of the privacy and security needs. B, arborvitae or other plantings of an evergreen nature may be installed along the rear property line for screening purposes. There is no maximum height limit on trees or shrubs in the rear yard. Or C, the applicant can approach Lourdes University about Lourdes installing a 7-foot high privacy fence on their property in the city of Sylvania where it abuts the subject property. And there's a diagram there to kind of see where this is. The applicant submitted this, where the fence would be along the rear property line, and the applicant is here as well.
Great, thanks, Daryl. Are there any questions for Daryl?
Daryl, did we receive
No.
any comments or feedback from any neighboring property owners?
We have not received anything. There were the comments that the applicant submitted from Lourdes and from their neighbor to the north. If I'm not mistaken, the board has received those. Or actually, they're in the staff report. Marie, did you get any emails or phone calls on this?
No, I did not.
Thank you.
Okay, great, thanks. Would the applicant like to to say anything on this case?
Sure, thank you. I'll keep it brief. I really appreciate
If you can,
um,
I'm sorry, also, sorry to interrupt. Also, if you can state your name and address. I should have said that
Yes,
when
of course.
I asked.
Yes, this is Pete Schmidt, address 5314 Eagle Ridge Lane, Sylvania. Mailing address in Sylvania Township.
Great, thanks. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
Oh, not at all. I really appreciate you all taking the time tonight and giving me the opportunity to speak. If I can speak briefly just to two notes that were in the report. On number 2, where we should have been aware of the concerns upon moving into the property, it has changed since we moved in. When we moved in, it was a elementary school with no activity at night. And after, I don't remember how many years ago that was, but maybe 3 or 4 years ago, it changed over to a university property where they had after hours classes. That's really where circumstances have changed. I will not speak poorly of the neighbor. Lourdes University has been great. They do have security around the property. When we've called security before, they have been very responsive. So the 6 feet versus 7 feet is not as much of a security concern. The 7 feet is more for the privacy. There are classes at night now. We can see into the building. They can see into ours as well. Especially 6 months of the year when there's no leaves on the trees. I would, to be candid, ask for higher, but I think obviously it's a stretch to go higher than 7 feet as it is. I think 7 feet will make a big difference for our first floor. The second floor will still be able to see into each other's buildings. We have planted some pine trees back there, but they'll take quite a bit of time to grow in. I thought there was another point, but I'm not sure that there is. I guess I would just, ask the board to consider allowing, given that we've spoken with both neighbors and including with Lourdes, and there weren't any concerns. It's not visible from this side of the property, and although it will be visible from the rear of Lourdes, I don't believe that it'll be an eyesore or in any concern for the property values here. And either way, I really thank you for your time and consideration.
Great, thank you for being here. Are there any questions for the applicant? I guess I'll jump in. I have a question. So have you spoke to Lourdes at all? I think Daryl mentioned this on one of his 3 points on number 3. I was talking to the applicant about building a 7-foot fence.
I have not. I wasn't aware of. I guess I'm not aware of what the option would be there. Would I be asking to pay for the construction of a fence just over on their property, or asking them to pay for the construction of a fence on their property?
Go ahead, Daryl.
Yeah, that would be entirely between you and Lourdes, how you wanted to work that out. I'm assuming it would be some manner of, they would get the permit and contract the fence company, and you would reimburse them for the expense of the fence and the installation of the fence. But again, it would be just the deal between the two of you.
No, I have not approached that.
Great, thanks. Any other questions for the applicant? Mr. Slaughter?
Yeah, one quick question. So, and this is probably more for Daryl. I'm looking at these pictures of this wooden fence that's there, and I couldn't really tell that well from the aerial. So is this fence that's in there intermittent and only on the property line or owned by those that have the housing development?
If you wish, I can speak to that as well.
That's for Daryl.
Yeah, well, actually, the applicant's probably more familiar with it than I am. It seemed like it's an old fence, and probably at one time it ran the entire length, and now there's just sections missing. It's my guess. Now it appears that it's on the Lourdes side of the property line. But yes.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the fence, they usually put, the buyer usually puts the nice sides towards, the neighboring property. And I
Right.
can't tell if it's on Lord's property or not. I mean, my suggestion to the applicant would be, start with, hey, would you repair and replace this fence and could you extend it? That seems to be a valid request if it is indeed on their property, rather than you putting in a fence, almost contiguous to it. Have you ever had it staked, that fence is in relation to your property line?
Although that fence looks really old, they actually installed that after turning it into a university building. It blocks a large window where privacy was probably a concern on their end. So there's the building is not exactly a T, but the closest part of the building had a large picture window, and that fence they erected in front of that picture window so that we couldn't see into their building, and I'm sure for our privacy as well.
Okay. Yeah, I saw the area showed that the shape of the building. There it is. So at the end of that wing is where the window is, and that's what they're trying to solve.
Have you spoken to any of your neighbors? Do they have fences up, or have you heard anything? I mean, is this a problem? I mean, obviously your neighbors share the same issue that you do.
I have not. I know that Lords did plant some trees along the parking lot, and that may have been for Sylvania zoning regulations to block the parking lot for residential. There are some fences further up to the north. My neighbors immediately to the north have some arborvitae, and the neighbors immediately to the south don't have that same view of the building.
So, and you kind of mentioned this in your testimony, but so 7 foot, I mean, the foot difference will make that big of a difference?
Well, I'm hoping that when I went out and measured it, it looked like that additional foot would block the view of from at least our our first floor. So for the kitchen and the main room, that we wouldn't be able to see then into the classrooms. Obviously upstairs is a different issue, but we can't put a 20-foot fence up, and I'm not asking to.
Yep. And this fence is only on the backyard, right?
That's correct.
Right. Any other questions? Does the board want to deliberate, or are we ready to make a motion?
I'm okay.
I'm prepared to make a motion.
I can make a motion.
All right, go for it.
Okay, I guess I'll make a motion to approve a variance request for a privacy fence from a maximum height of 6 feet required to 7 feet provided for the property located at 5314 Eagle Ridge Lane, parcel number 79-06567, Sylvania Township Zoning Resolution, Section A.
Second.
Second.
Don, you second it? Or
You give it
Tim?
to Mr. Slaughter.
Tim? Okay.
And it,
Okay, Mr. Levine,
No.
Mr. Mercer,
No.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Schlachter,
no.
Mr. Lamanna.
Yes.
With that, unfortunately, the motion fails. Daryl will be sending you some paperwork in the next 30 days. And so thanks for bringing it to our attention today. Do we have a motion to adjourn? If there's nothing else on the agenda here. Hopefully I have the right agenda.
Motion to adjourn, Mr.
A
Chairman.
motion to adjourn.
Okay, we got Greg. And who second?
I'll second. Tim
Jason?
Schlachter will second.
Tim, I'm sorry.
Tim.
Okay. Mr. Levine,
Yes.
Mr. Mercer,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Schlachter,
Yes.
Mr. Lamanna.
Yes.
Okay, Daryl. I think we're good here.
Okay.
Sorry about that, Pete.
Well, no worries. Thanks for your time. I'll speak to Lords, and if I don't get cooperation from them, I'm sure I'll be back if I'm allowed to do so.
Absolutely. Great, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.